Stratos. My dear, sweet Stratos. Words cannot describe the pain I felt upon realizing my mistake. I went from Tier 1 to Table 500. Metaphorically, of course. You and I were like two brothers. One with chiseled, beautiful abs, and the other was you. Listen, Eldritch and I are through. I only ask that you forgive me. I promise never to cut you again. I anxiously await your response. Until I receive it, I'm gonna be playing Raid Shadow Legends, baby! Sick of waiting for Konami to release support for your favorite archetype? Couldn't be me. I play Elemental Hero. Well, why not pass the 700 days without volcanic support by playing Raid Shadow Legends? Heck, I mean, if you want, you could just go to the description right now and download using my link, you impatient Isaac. I've spoken with you all before about Raid Shadow Legends. By now, you've all heard about the world-famous RPG with raid bosses, dungeon runs, campaign battles, and over 500 champions, including, of course, Warboy. I've actually been grinding Raid recently. I really like their PvP arena battles, and it helps that I'm so good at them. But unfortunately, my newfound battle prowess has come at a cost. Longtime Raid fans, I'm sorry for letting you down, but I've had to cut Warboy from my regular rotation of champions. How could you possibly be so heartless, you may ask? Well, Raid actually just released a new champion, Ninja. Yeah, that Ninja. And he is very strong and absolutely broken. There's no other way to describe it. He's also free until October 15th, at which point he disappears forever. If you're interested in playing, we've actually got a clan up and running, the PLSS gang, and I am proud to say we actually just won a clan war the other week. If you click the link in the description or scan the QR code right here, you'll get everything you see on screen, plus an epic new champion, Chronoru. You'll find your extra rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Ah, Hero. How I've missed you. 2019 was a simpler time. People were summoning Shizuku in passing, setting a rage and hoping for the best, unironically playing Guru. But then, the dark times. Adamancipator, Eldritch, 6 fucking formats of Dragon Link back to back. But I am happy to report that time is a flat circle, and people seriously expect Shizuku Pass to win games again. Heroes back with new support, baby. Let's party like we never learned what COVID was.
I played Polymerization to fuse Bubble Man and Clayman to create Mudball Man in defense mode.
So here's the list, and seething already, are we? Joseph, where's the Miracle Fusion? Joseph, where's the Absolute Zero? Joseph, where on God's green earth is Clayman? All in due time, young hero kid. All in due time. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. So let's harangue some heroes. Now, hero is an archetype with more history than maybe any other archetype ever. Certainly, it's one of the most expansive archetypes of all time. For instance, Rada started the Archetype Archive for Heroes sometime mid-2017, and to this day hasn't finished pronouncing Elemental Heroes Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Unsurprisingly, if you print about 300 pieces of support for an archetype, there's gonna be some playable decks along the way. Just as a cursory primer here, Blue Gadget used Stratos alongside the gadgets to choke the life out of opponents with card advantage. Airblade and later DDT used Destiny Hero Diamond Dude to trigger powerful spells without paying their costs. Big City used Skyscraper 2 to always stay up on cards. Perfect Circle and Dad used Destiny Hero Disc Commander to draw cards, and later Destiny Hero Malicious alongside Krebins for synchro fodder. Diva Hero combined synchro plays with Miracle Fusion. Bubblebeat and Gemini Hero used Gemini Spark, among other things, as a blowout. Darklaw Turbo sat on the Big Boy and Rank 4s. Toad Hero used Bubblemen to make Bahamut Shark, and Omni Hero brings us to today. Whew. The hero of today, however, looks much different than the hero of the past, just like how they keep rebooting Captain America to have a man bun or whatever. What you see in front of you isn't just an assemblage of the 10 or so playable hero monsters we've been given over the past 2 decades, it's also an adaptable and resilient combo deck that from a single card can end on the new Phoenix Enforcer, Plasma, and occasionally Darklaw. It's been putting up results in the OCG, but how do I say this? OCG results don't mean shit. Most of the topping lists we've got so far are from locals, and far be it from me to criticize their deck building, but I'm pretty sure that Dreadmaster Turbo is not as playable as a 4-person event might make it seem. From the OCG lists, however, we can crystallize a number of potentially playable hero builds. The first is the one you see in front of you, and unfortunately is also the most boring. Hand traps are very good right now, so we are stocking up. Hero is fantastic at breaking semi-interrupted boards, so these 12 will serve us well. The second would shave 1 3 of hand trap for 3 copies of D-Force. This card makes your Plasma untargetable and indestructible at the cost of your draw phase. I like this card, but its playability really relies on a very specific metagame. If the removal in BODE format looks like Lightning Storm, I am all for it. If it looks like Spheres, maybe not so much. The third would shave Ferris, the most xenophobic main deck hero lock, for a small Isold package that weaves through Auroradon for big synchro bosses. I found this one a little bit too YouTube combo for my tastes, and mostly just an inferior Infernoble Knight. The fourth plays Sunriser alongside Absolute Zero for the Dream Zero into Acid Omega Mask Change board wipe. I'm a very outspoken member of anti-Sunriser Action. In my experience, this deck doesn't need more ways to OTK, and it certainly doesn't need ones that eat up main deck and extra deck slots. Finally, I would consider swapping one of the hand traps in this list for Droll and Lockbird, and playing a Destiny Hero draw hand to manually lock your opponent whenever you find the little twink. Hopefully what you've gleaned from this is that this build is hardly the gospel truth. You should look at this list as the bare minimum of what's possible once we get the new support. Don't be surprised if optimal builds move in a direction that's different than this one. If they do, I know I'll be milking this archetype for all it's worth, wringing content from the supple teat of Stratos as often as I can, so I'll enjoy hopping back here in 3 months and taking another look. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First, a Stratos. 1 Stratos. A single Stratos. Uno Stratosis. Please eviscerate me in the comment section at your earliest convenience. In fact, why don't I take a quick break while you write that bad boy up? Oh. Jesus. Yeah, that's not making it through the filter. Okay, let me defend myself. Stratos is fine. He's okay. He's my boyfriend, so I feel like I'm in a unique position of being able to tell when he's not cutting the mustard, and this is one of those times. So Stratos is a really good special summon off of a Hero Lives. He's an okay way of getting Vion to your side of the field, but not the best. The unfortunate truth is that you need to be summoning Vision Hero Vion pretty much every single turn of the game. There's only 2 ways you're going to be able to do that. Normal summon Vision Hero Vion, or trigger the effect of Stratos in order to get Vision Hero Ferris and then go through the increase line. Now the latter locks you into heroes very early, but Vion has a bunch of new lines where you send an Elemental Hero Shadow Mist, then you add a copy of Malicious to hand, then you add a Polymerization to hand, and fuse into a copy of Dangerous, use the Malicious in graveyard to go into a Beatrice, and Beatrice bin Destiny Hero Denier. It's a really cheeky way to get everything you want onto your side of the field, but it requires you to be able to summon monsters that aren't heroes, so we're cutting out the middleman and just playing 3 Vision Hero Vion as a result. Stratos is still fine. Again, great summon off of a Hero Lives, pretty good follow-up when you normal summon something like a Liquid Soldier, but just not as strong as it's been in previous formats. Please do not get me community struck. After Vision Hero Vion, who does everything for the deck, we've got 2 copies of Shadow Mist and 2 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. I, for a long time, did not like the fact that this card is the only reason the semi-limited list exists. However, Konami has thought of a bit of an ingenious solution, allowing Dark Warrior players to have to play this card at 2, and Hero players to be able to play it at 4. I'm talking about Destiny Hero Denier, which is one of the most powerful cards I've ever read in my life. When this card is normal or special summoned by any mechanism, you can take a Destiny Hero that's banished, that's in your deck, or is in your graveyard and put it on top of the deck. Now, you can only use this effect once per turn. If you have a D-hero monster other than Denier on your field or in your graveyard, you can special it from your graveyard. This is unthinkably powerful. It means that your Malicious is functionally 4 pieces of material, which is really, really strong. What are you doing with all that material? Well, you can use it to summon Destiny Hero Plasma, who makes a triumphant return in this deck, much harder to kill than in previous versions because of Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer's effect. We've got Elemental Hero, a Dusted Gold, Evil Hero rather. I am still of the opinion that this is mandatory, but if you are budget-minded and we don't ever get a reprint of this $95 card, you can just play Sunriser in this spot. This card exists to help you OTK. I am of the opinion that Malicious Bane is one of the best cards ever printed at doing that, but any mechanism to hit big very quick will do. Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier is a card that I'm kind of back and forth on. It's much better if you're playing Miracle Fusion because you get to actually trigger its effect, but I think it's still pretty good as a follow-up play. It's also necessary to facilitate some lines that are resource-intensive but go into Dark Law in matchups where Dark Law literally wins you the game on turn 1. We're playing 1 copy of Ferris and 1 copy of Increase. This is something I picked up from the OCG lists. A lot of them are on this. Ferris in the opener used to be a great way to kind of confuse your opponent as to when they should be hand trapping. However, Ferris isn't really powerful enough on its own to carry a game, and as a result, having it searchable is very important, but having it repeatable or always in the grip is not as strong. And as a result, I feel pretty confident going down to 1 copy and using it as a toolbox. Kinda sucks to have to play this 1-1 Garnet ratio, but even drawing an Increase just means you can fuse it away for something like a Dangerous and then use it as follow-up material if your opponent gets over your board. We're on 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. I really like this. I think it's very good on your first turn, not as fantastic on your second one. I will admit you do need to OTK pretty quickly because the longer the game goes, the less you are favored, but it is a fantastic tool at finding some of your really powerful individual cards, things like Vision Hero Vion that functionally win you the game or set up perfectly. It can also find 3 Mask Change. Mask Change, just an incredible card, both making Acid against back row decks and making Dark Law against pretty much everything right now is essentially an FTK. It's just so very strong, and Fusion Destiny has become so much better. So, in the past, you would use Fusion Destiny either as a way to get 2 monsters into your graveyard, a double Foolish Burial with something like a Dangerous, or to send a Dynatag to the graveyard alongside a Malicious to make Dystopia. This was functionally a Trident, but it died at the end of the turn unless you did some Cross Crusader shenanigans. It was really only okay. It is now very, very good. You're using this card to summon Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. You can send 2 Destiny Heroes from your deck to the graveyard. Doesn't technically have to be, but I think they're the only targets we have. A Malicious and a Denier. This gets you a ton of link laddering material. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer also, if it is destroyed by, say, the effect of Fusion Destiny or its own effect, resurrects any Destiny hero in your graveyard during the standby phase of the next turn. This means that even if the downside of Fusion Destiny kicks in, this bad boy's coming back. After that, we've got a hero lives, still at 1 for some ungodly reason. Reinforcement of the army, called by the grave, very important to be able to dodge hand traps, polymerization, and dark calling. After that, we're on 12 hand traps, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Ghost Bell, 3 Effect Veiler, and 3 Infinite Impermanence. Because Effect Veiler is so pee-pee poo-poo bad against Prankid specifically, I would consider moving that for Droll if you decide to go the draw hand route. In the extra deck, space is extremely tight. This is what I had the most success with, but your mileage may vary. We've got a copy of Adoration. You basically just need something to get heroes off your side of the field. You can fuse maybe a Vion and a Malicious into in corner cases. Malicious Bane, of course, is necessary for the Adusted Gold line. Acid is a great way to blow up back row with Mask Change, and also you kind of need to be playing cards that allow your elemental heroes to dodge things like targeted negation. It functionally turns your Mask Changes into Called by the Graves, and Acid is the one for Liquid Soldier. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer is insane. I can't believe how good this card is. I mean, it just does everything you absolutely need. So first, your monsters that your opponent controls lose 200 for every hero card in your graveyard. Now, that's hero card, not hero monster, though I don't think we're playing any hero non-monsters. Importantly, it will probably be decreasing them by about 1,000 on your first turn. And for that reason, it's going to be very difficult for your opponent to hit over Plasma, something that the Cyber Dragon used to be able to do. As a quick effect, you can destroy a card you control and a card on the field. This comes up extremely frequently. It is a great way to unlink your Plasma from an individual individual monster and allow it to proc its effect again. It's a great way to send the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer to the graveyard in order to proc its own effect later. It is non-targeting, so, you know, enjoy that. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, and again, that includes your card effects, you can activate this effect and special summon a Destiny hero monster from your graveyard during the standby phase of the next turn. Now, usually you're going to be summoning back the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, but important to keep in mind you don't have to. I've seen some OCG lists playing Disc Commander, but I do not believe in that. We're playing 2 copies of Dark Law, just really, really strong to be able to chain this back together with Wonder Driver. We've got a Dangerous, a Beatrice, part of a setup combo, an Access Code Talker. Oftentimes on turn 3, your opponent is going to be able to put you in a position where you have to make this card, and you can do so very easily without invoking Ferris's lock. We've got Dread Decimator, which is still extremely strong, a great way to OTK. We've got Nightmare Unicorn, a Wonder Driver, 2 Cross Crusader, and a Verte Anaconda. This can send Fusion Destiny, just so you know. So that is it. A lot to talk about, a lot to show off. Let's go into the games. Our first match is up against Madolche, and this is a hand that would have curb-stomped a previous build of Hero. Wow, Drolin Lockbird used to be killer in this matchup. We're going to begin with a copy of A Hero Lives to summon a Stratos to our side of the field. We'll then activate the effect of the Stratos to add a Vision Hero Ferris to our hand. Down comes the Drolin Lockbird, and I'm not too beat up about it. Because we've got the Infinite Impermanence and the Ash Blossom, if we can prevent our opponent from popping off for just 1 turn, we can probably go for a double Vion setup. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Pot of Prosperity. They find off the top. Okay, a Salon is fine. They'll go for the Salon, then use their extra normal on an Angeli, but as we Ash the Angeli, they don't really have anywhere to go from here. They're going to set 2 and end of main. We'll activate the effect of Increase. Increase is going to summon a Vion from deck. We'll trigger the effect of Vion, give Hero an inch, and they will take a mile. We'll trigger the effect of Shadow Mist in order to add a Vion to hand for next turn, and then draw a copy of Malicious every single time. Okay, no big deal as long as it's not polymerization. We'll search that off of the Vion and go into a Cross Crusader. We'll Cross Crusader to bring back the Denier that we pitched for Ferris. Then we'll polymerize into a Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. We're going to use it now, targeting that set back row, and it turns out to be the right option because that was a Gravedigger's Trap Hole. We're going to go for the Malicious and the Denier. Look at all this material on our side of the field, and what do you think we're going to use that material on? We'll use Vion to send a copy of Shadow Mist to the graveyard. The other one was our opponent's turn, so we get to activate it again for a Plasma. We'll make the Plasma, take that set card, and then we can pop off even further by using the Malicious that still has a target in deck in order to enable a Dread Decimator. We'll go to the battle phase and get in for well over lethal. Our second match is up against Drytron, and this is a very interesting build. It's on Chaos Space in order to more efficiently find Ben 10. We're going second. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Drytron Nova. They go for Zeta, and then they make a Linkaribo. They're going to Chaos Space here, pitching a Levianeer for a Ben 10. They'll Zeta, pitching the Ben 10 to bring back the Zeta and get a Meteonis. They'll trigger the Ben 10 for a copy of Herald. This is a very Herald-reliant hand, and unfortunately for our opponent, we have an Infinite Impermanence. They're going to make a copy of Masquerena and pass turn. Okay, this should be an easy win. I don't want to go for the Pot of Prosperity because I think we already have lethal. We'll go into a copy of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. I'll go for it. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to destroy the Unicorn because it can't be destroyed by card effects, but it does its job. We'll trigger the effect of Phoenix Enforcer, then summon out a copy of Malicious, then summon out a copy of Denier, then tuck back a copy of Malicious for more Link material later. That's just so silly. We'll go into Cross Crusader here, and then bring back the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, which is no longer bound by the Fusion Destiny rules. We'll go and get another copy of Malicious, then activate the effect of Cross Crusader for a Ferris, so we can get a Vion to our side of the field without having to commit to our normal summon. We'll go for an Increase and then activate the effect of Increase on field, triggering its effect to summon a copy of Vion. I did not expect to get this far. And then sending a copy of Shadow Mist to the graveyard, triggering Shadow Mist to get a copy of Plasma. After that, we're going to fire off this copy of Reinforcement of the Army for Stratos, because again, we haven't normal summoned. Then we'll Vion for a polymerization, normal summon the Stratos, use Stratos to get a copy of a Adusted Gold, and make the Plasma. Let's take our opponent's copy of Nightmare Phoenix, and then fire off the Adusted Gold to wrap this one up. Dark Calling will get us the material necessary to make a Malicious Bane, go to the battle phase, and deal well over lethal damage. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Dragon Link, and this is the same deck and pilot that just won the most recent Chalice Line Monthly, so good luck me. We're going to go for a Vion, and our opponent has a Veiler. Isn't this just the story of the format? A starter and 3 hand traps for the pair of us. My opponent for turn draws, Rocket Tracer, fine. They're going to go into a Striker Dragon and add a copy of Boot Sector Launch from deck to hand. Then they're going to activate World Legacy Guard Dragon, which for some reason I can't bell, to bring back the Rocket Tracer. They'll go to the battle phase and attack for 600 plus 1,000. In main phase 2, they're going to make a copy of Romulus, which I am all too happy to expend an effect Veiler upon. We got to draw something crazy off the top because, of course, they have the Tidying set, and that's, good, I suppose. We'll attack. It will prompt the tidying, but I just kind of need my opponent to fade a draw step, and they do. It's a knock division. Okay, something crazy off the top here, and wow, that's probably the best draw in our deck. Okay, we're going to go for the Ferris here, chain blocking the Shadow Mist so it can't be Skullmeistered. We're going to go ahead and get a copy of Increase and a Stratos to our hand. We'll activate the effect of Increase to summon itself, and its second effect to summon a copy of Vion from deck. Because we've already gone through the Shadow Mist this turn, we have to send a Malicious. Next, we'll activate the effect of Vion to get a Polymerization to hand, and the effect of Malicious, which eats a Skullmeister. Fine, fine, fine. Okay, at minimum, we can normal summon this copy of Stratos to get a copy of Denier to hand, then fire off this Poly to make Phoenix Enforcer using the Denier and the Plasma. Next, we'll go into a Cross Crusader and Bell as well. Okay, I think we're just 100 points off lethal here, even if we make Dread Decimator. Unless in the battle phase, I trigger Phoenix Enforcer, sending itself so that there's 100 more points worth of heroes in the grave. Exact lethal, baby! So it's time for game 2, and wow, 2 hand traps plus a starter? Huh, I only opened 1 hand trap plus a starter, so, you know, good luck to my opponent, but I think they have this one wrapped up. They're going to go for the, oh wow, Tracer plus Absolouter. Having Absolouter in rotation is so backbreaking. They're going to go for the Romulus and the Absolouter to add a Rocket Synchron to hand alongside a Dragon Ravine. They'll start with the Dragon Ravine. They're going to pitch this copy of Ghost Bell to send a Chamber Dragon Maid, then go into a White Dragon Wyver Burster, into Pisty, into Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, into Triple Burst. God, this used to be how you used to have to set up Pisty columns. Now, we can't let that Chamber come back, so we are going to go for the Ghost Bell here. They go for Spheres and followed up with a normal summoned Rocket Synchron, which turns into a Savage Dragon. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, we still might be able to do it. We draw for turn. That's a sick one. We'll start with a Hero Lives. Would have preferred the Stratos here, but I will take the Shadow Mist. We'll go for the Shadow Mist to add a Mask Change to hand. Next, we're going to normal summon the Stratos and trigger its effect, which they allow to get a copy of Ferris. We'll trigger Ferris, which they also allow in order to get an increased set. We'll go for a Cross Crusader, triggering its effect to summon back this copy of Malicious. Our opponent will Valor, we'll chain Mask Change, they'll chain Borreload, we'll chain Increase, they'll chain Spheres, and this kind of works out well for us because it means we get everything we want. They only get a Brotar to their side of the field. As they go for the Brotar with no negates on their side of the field, we can use our second Mask Change to go into Darklaw, banishing the card they discard and the card they add off of Brotar. Now all we need is a way to out the Savage, but that's easier said than done. Ah, God, this card is just so crazy. And lo and behold, what did they find off the top of the deck but a World Legacy Guard Dragon to bring back the Chamber? This is probably the end of the game. The Chamber Dragon Maid, of course, will add the Tidying. They'll activate Dragon's Ravine, pitching the Tidying in order to send a copy of Seifert. They'll go into Pisty, triggering the effect of the Tidying to bring back the Chamber again to make a Spheres and pass once more, with enough stuff in the graveyard to absolutely destroy us. We're going to normal summon a copy of Vion. They let that resolve. We'll go for the Denier. We'll activate the effect to add a Polymerization to hand. We'll go for the Denier. That gets savaged, and I don't know where I'm going from here. I guess we'll make a Nightmare Unicorn targeting the Savage. That's kind of neat. We'll go to the battle phase. They will proc Heavenly Spheres. We have the Ash Blossom, but asking our opponent with Dragon Ravine on their side of the field to fade a draw step seems kind of moot. And what do they draw but a second World Legacy Guard Dragon? Okay, let's go to game 3. So it's time for that all-important game 3 and 2 hand traps plus starters. I mean, what can you say? We're going first, at least. We're going to begin with a copy of Ferris. We will pitch this Malicious to the graveyard. Pretty high roll. We're going to activate Ferris's effect to get a copy of Increase. We'll go for Increase here, then trigger the effect of Increase. They will Ash Blossom here. Absolutely correct, by the way. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of the Malicious in graveyard to bring back a Malicious, and then go into a Cross Crusader, trying to bait out something like a Ghost Bell, and there it is. Okay, now that that's gone, let's fire off a Fusion Destiny. Now, we have to send the Plasma here, which sucks. It means we won't be able to end on it, but we can still probably make something happen. We'll go for a Denier to shuffle back this copy of Malicious, and then activate the effect of Cross Crusader to add a Stratos to hand, because guess what? We had not yet normal summoned. We're going to use this effect to get a Liquid Soldier for next turn, then end on Dread Decimator Phoenix Enforcer. We'll pass back to our opponent, who draws a Reborn spell. Sheesh. They're going to go from Black Metal Dragon into a Red Eyes DMD and a Striker Dragon, which is going to add a Boot Sector launch. Now, popping the Boot Sector launch with this Phoenix Enforcer is imperative, so we will go ahead and do that, popping itself, then triggering its graveyard effect so we get it back next turn. They'll go for a DMD and trigger the effect of the DMD. We will effect Valor, hoping this ends the turn. Unfortunately, they do have the World Legacy Guard Dragon. That means we're going to have to contend with at least Spheres. They'll make Spheres and pass. Let's see what we can do. So in standby phase, we're going to bring back the Phoenix Enforcer. We'll go for Mally first and foremost, and then we will trigger the Phoenix Enforcer. Of course, does not target, neither does Spheres. They're going to put back this copy of Dread Decimator. We'll target Phoenix Enforcer and the World Legacy Guard Dragon. They're going to go for a Brotar here. That's not super defensive. They're going to get a Legionnaire, so we probably have to win now. We're going to go for the Liquid Soldier to bring back this copy of Stratos, then trigger the Stratos in order to get from our deck to our hand a copy of a Dusted Gold. We'll make a Cross Crusader, then use its effect to bring back the Phoenix Enforcer, then use a Dusted Gold to get a copy of Malicious Bane to our side of the field via Dark Calling. From here, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to Malicious Bane's effect, a Dread Decimator, and well over lethal. So we're back with the deck, and I am impressed. The deck is still explosive. Phoenix Enforcer is so much of an improvement over Dystopia, it is not funny. And Denier reads like a custom card that I sent back in time personally. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's super flexible. Like previously, you've got setups for Darklaw, Plasma, Enforcer, and most combinations of the above cards, and the meta's uniquely unprepared for these bosses. 2, Phoenix Enforcer makes your end boards so much better. Protecting Plasma is a cinch when you have removal and they can't ever destroy it by battle. And 3, the small hero package is perfect. You can go through the combo exactly twice, once as a setup and once to finish the job with Malicious Bane. The room this affords you for hand traps is formidable to any deck, including the top tier. And the cons. 1, this list is unfinished. I found myself tinkering with main and extra deck ratios even during matches, like an additional Destiny hero, different extra deck monsters, and more consistency tools like eCall are all pretty reasonable considerations. 2, Hero excelled in previous formats because the choke point varied from match to match. Sometimes it was Stratos, sometimes it was Cross Crusader. Since the semi of Malicious, that has pretty much evaporated. It is always Malicious, Increase, and Vion, and your opponent is going to pick this up very quickly. And 3, there's only one Stratos in here. How am I supposed to get aroused while playing? All in all, this is a shot in the arm for this Ailing archetype, and no matter what form it takes in the next couple of months, I'm excited to jam this when BODE releases. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons Dominic Ernst, Hakuo, AJBYGO, Alex Perea, BB Poison, Blue Fanfiction Inc., Brandon Green, Brian Rydell, GB Gohan, Colin Miller, Crispy, Ikaleba Brot, Jack Sack PhD, King Magic Ruler, Night Mary, Kylie Denton, Major Rusty, Mike Carlotti, Not Witty, Robot, Rocky Hernandez, Rose Lapine, Sarah Rutledge, Seeker, Sean Alling Jr., Space Condor, Space Dandy 1993, Test Subject 213, William Antonelli, Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Afro Ninja 123, Alex Dominguez, Alfred Hendricks, Amaranta V, Andrew Benson, Andrew Ferruia, Andrew Horseman, Apex TCG, Ballin Stalin, Based Madoka, Benjamin Cole Kierman, Billy Williams, Blackacre, Blake Root, Blair, Brandon Keys, Brendan Peterson, Breaker the Outrage, Brody Colson, Captain Breadbeard, Chad Bortz, Chad Weatherington, Chase Smith, Chorps Away, CJ Alex, Cole Schulian, Colin Gustafson, Control for the Win, Crystal Red Fox, Daffy Deathclock, Dan Schwer, Dan the Man Hoban, Danny Guadalupe, Darcy Tevs, Dive Missile, Dogma, Dr. Batman, Distrin, Eileen Safo, LP got banned, sad. Emily V, Emperor Stove, Ernesto Ibarra, Fighting Fang Wong, Fisker Whiskers, FUTR, Game of Wolf, Gavin K, Hank Cheesecake, Helios the Helios, Haruf, How to Lose, Jose Mina, Incredibly Slow, Isaac Jackson, Jalen Ya, Jason Leonard, Jay Gordon, Jeff Leonard, Jesse Cox, Jonathan Wallace, Jupe, Jose Luis Cortez, Joy Orjon, Juliet Julian, Callie, Corey Hess, Goro Kaze, Lake Bayer, Lawrence, Leah Lisbeth, Lightsworn Gorgon, Lottie, Lovra Plesse, Lucas Angles, Lucas Gudis, Lucas Arizzo Hansen, Major Duncan, Matthew Taylor, Max Meadow Edits, Merb, Mezzo Emrys, Michael Marks, Michael Oskvark, Miles Edgelord, Mimes Are Creepy, Miska Aronin, Miyuna Arashi, Nick Extreme 99, Niru Soup, Nitro Skull, Nix Dolores, Noom Omase, One Glad Morning, Austerin, Par 2, Pizer, I hope I'm saying that right, Picnic Blasted, Precise Spike 13, Pro FB2, Raska, Riley Malo, Sam Pinney, Sapphic Ashley, Scrafted, Sean Deal, Sean Flynn, Second, Sandoria, Seraphine, Shy, SSJ Majin Slayer, Standards Objective, Swinkles, Tate Rosencutter, The Carl Moxley, The Saucy Pickle, This Machine 237, Thought Auditor, Violet Prison, Why Am I Here, Yordle Hoo, Yuri's Best, and Yukie. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.